Tuesday, October 12th. You're here with Josh Ruff and myself. Obviously, you came for a couple of good reasons. So just to check and validate some of those reasons, if you came here today to learn, if you could go ahead and hit A and type A in the chat for me, that'd be great. If you came here because you're bored, nothing else to do, go ahead and type B in the chat. And if you came here for the free pizza, go ahead and type C. Let's see, get some, mostly everybody was here to learn. So that's surprisingly good. Although Jennifer also wants pizza. Sad news, bad news. The pizza was a joke, so I don't have any of that for you. Apologies. Hopefully DoorDash or your local pizza place can help you out with that. But here we are, and we'll go ahead and get going. So here today, share my screen, do all this funness here. Technical challenges abound. Let's see. All right, so there we go. So you came here today to learn how to hire exceptional SDRs and also to enable them to succeed fast, right? So today we're going to talk about a lot of things, but it's basically focused on the core skills needed to look for and identify in an SDR team. So I brought none other than Josh Ruff here, who's an absolute expert on this subject matter. He's a partnerships team lead there at Pre-Hired. Josh, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and let everyone know who you are, what you're about, and why you feel like you've got some good experience to comment on this topic.
Appreciate the kind words, David. And the word expert can be used by anybody who goes on LinkedIn now, puts it. So I'll be an expert on a lot of things. But to sum up, sure. I actually talk to SDR leaders every day and a half for the last 2 years, specifically scaling growing teams. So I hear and talk to your peers. I see what front lines, what works, what doesn't work with SDRs. Pre-Hired also is in the business of training SDRs. So we've learned what works, what needs to succeed, and what not skills necessarily is a good one way to put it, but what core qualities are you looking for when you hire SDRs? So I'm excited to kind of break down. I've got some things that will just give you maybe a higher, nice little tiled in profile to work with to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just as a reminder to the group and the class today, this is going to be conversational in nature. Definitely intended to be involvement coming from you all. So feel free to type your questions, your comments in the chat or the Q&A section throughout, and we'll work to do our best to address everything we can as we go, and then of course save some time at the end as well to pick up the last of it. So with that said, and no further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump in. You ready, Josh?
Sure thing. By the way, all pizza-related complaints go to David. Make sure he gets those emails.
I will take them. I will pass that on to the complaint department as soon as I find out where they're at. So no worries. All right, here it is. The big magic question. It's why we're here. What are the core skills to look for when hiring SDRs, BDRs, ISRs, XDRs, whatever you want to call them, right? Those people, those resources that are responsible for, the front line of offense and working to secure first appointments and get sales conversations started. So we'll begin. We won't try to boil the ocean and do it all at once, but let's kind of break down the skills. So what are some of the core skills that you want to talk about today, Josh?
Yeah, let's start with communication. Email is going to be an essential part of any SDR, BDR's function. So really, when you're looking for that, the ability you're looking at is 4 things when it comes to writing a good email. And if you can see these and pick these out with communication, someone reaches out to you, we teach our members actually to outreach to hiring teams. And the keys are this: personalization, relevance, alignment, and regardless. Now, what does that mean? I'll break it down a little bit. Personalization, David, have you ever gotten that? Hey, you went to this school, or hey, I saw you have hats on, something that's just terrible personalization. Do we all know what that feels like?
Yeah, and some of it's kind of creepy too, right? It's like, well, are you stalking my Facebook? What's going on there?
Exactly. So it has to be real. In other words, it has to be something that's authentic. I think I'd sent an email to Colin Cadmus one time, and he was talking about how he loved reading, jogging with his dog, and doing one other thing. I was like, none of those things matched except for reading. I was like, so A's off the table, B's off the table, but hey, we can talk about your favorite author. Let's be real, something that's relatable, but also not creepy. I think that's a definite line to watch. But then you really pivot quickly to relevance. If you don't have relevance in email, if someone can't quickly get to what's relevant, what are you talking about? How might you help them? If you're not talking about their pain or getting right at something that matters, You might like them. You're going to scroll through that email. It's going to bounce off the windshield and keep flying. So it has to be something that digs right to it, a pain question, something that you might be struggling with. David, hey, have you juggling through LinkedIn Live, and would you like to have a LinkedIn Live presentation mastered? Hey, we're both struggling with that at times. Oh, you got my attention. Fair point.
Yes,
and then,
please.
if you're talking about alignment, hey, I've got a solution. This might be something that's for you. We've all had that where you're scrolling through the web or you're scrolling through your phone. You see, hey, wait, I have that problem. And they're like, could there be a way better? We're all curious, but make sure you get that question out, something that is aligned that might help. And then last, have confidence in yourself. When someone communicates as an SDR, you have to be able to say, you might not be the right fit. We might not be the right time, right solution. And that's okay. I'd rather get clarity over closing. Give me some clarity where you're at. So if someone's been able to communicate via email that way, it's highly powerful.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I can definitely attest to some poor examples from a few of those categories, both from what I've received and even things that I've sent in my my earlier times. I did Facebook stalk somebody, truth be told, found out about a recent graduation that they attended, and tried to personalize with that, and it wasn't well received, to say the least. So
no, I get that. Fair point. We've all had our mistakes. We won't bring out our wall of shame, but I'm always curious too, with Outplay, how do you guys, where does this personalization fit into the process? How do you enable someone with that? So let's say you have someone who can craft a great email. They've got the raw tools. They understand the framework. How does this work with something like Outplay?
Yeah, well, so sales engagement platform like Outplay is definitely going to be paramount in being able to execute and scale an effort with cold email skill, right? You find the right talent, they have the right skill, let's put it to use. And so with Outplay, you're going to be able to leverage things like templates and snippets, which are kind of shorthand shortcuts that allow you to populate or curate an email with ease. And then as far as being able to personalize it, you can use things like custom fields and some really cool feature functionality with variable objects in there where it'll read or pre-populate the name of that contact record automatically for you. So it gives you that personalization, ease of use, but you're able to do it at scale and still be relevant.
Love it. It's kind of like the car key in the car. It goes together well. So next skill I want to talk about and jump into is really cold calling. What are you looking for? Yeah, everyone loves cold calling. Let's give a hand for cold calling there in the gallery, right? Who can't wait to hit the phones? And I think that's really what it comes down to. Is it's like going to the gym, David. When was the last time you hit the gym?
Let's move on from that question. Next question, Josh.
Fair point, but that is the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
But really, just do it. It sounds cliche, but you're looking for someone who has that willingness, who's willing to try, put themselves out there and fall on their face, get up, do it again, rinse, repeat, and not be crushed by it. It's not, don't take it personal, and really understand that it's a process. We'll get more to that on the workflow management, but also put in a little prep. If you've done some personalization, done some good research, say David's talked about how he was at Outplay's live event last week, and that resonates, and you're talking about something, use that, pull that into your cold call. If someone's able to do just a little bit of homework, whether they're cold calling you looking for a job or they're talking through a role play with you, the ability to just try, fail, and be coachable is really what you're looking for. What do you see, David? What's your take with SDRs on your side?
Yeah, I mean, certainly like the willingness to get into the work so you can get through the work definitely helps out. But what I found that even helps me, get over that hurdle of the fear of what used to be called Black Beauty, but it doesn't work today with VoIP and phone apps. But anyway, picking up the phone and getting into the workflow, what helps is to know what you're going to say before you have to say it, right? To know the methodology behind it in a clear and precise way that you're able to just get through the motions with ease. What I find gets in my way is I start getting worried or thinking about what to say, or maybe what the weather's like today. Is that good luck, bad luck? And you get these false positives and negatives from that. So the best thing to do, as you said, is get through the willingness to do the work, and then leveraging it through a platform like Outplay. The number is pre-populated, the script is pre-populated. You know what to say. Should the prospect answer the phone, you have a pre-recorded voicemail you can drop in with ease, saving you 5 to 15 seconds. So there's a lot of different things that help out in the ease of use and getting through the work part of the cold calling function of prospecting.
And I saw a LinkedIn influencer pull one of my favorite tips, which I love using with Outplay, which is if you've done that personalization from your first email as you're dialing, pull up that first email, remind yourself why you reached out to them, what's that personalization and that relevance, what was the pain question that you asked them. Those things can feed right into your script. You plug those right in once you get the phone and the answer going. You've already done the legwork, just reuse it over and over again, and you've got a nice access to it there. So it's one of my favorite things.
Awesome.
But with that said, I want to tackle also not cold calling, but social selling. David, I'm going to ask you a question here. If someone reaches out to you, what is one of the first things you do when you want to find out, is this person legit?
You know, it used to be go to Google, but now it's definitely go to LinkedIn.
Seeing as we're on LinkedIn Live, fairly appropriate question, right? But that's it. If someone's going to be an SDR, they need to be willing and able to put themselves a little bit on LinkedIn, share some of who they are, what they're about, what they're doing, because your prospects actually don't use Google anymore. They use LinkedIn as well. So being able to build a social presence, being able to, just at least have who you are on your profile, put a few posts up, have some content, build a little profile, and just be a human. Let's not overlook that factor. This is a real person, not a AI bot reaching out to me. That goes a long way in building your engagement with somebody. They're more likely to accept your request.
Yeah, so curious about that connection request. At what point in the process, right, as far as communication steps, are you sending the connection request? Is it something you do right out of the gate? Is it something you do a little ways down, or save that for the end?
Great technical question. Let's get into it a little bit. I love sending it right at the beginning. A couple reasons. I send an email, give them something good to look at that's going to be relevant, personal, and hit them hard. Then send that connection request. I don't always do messages because, quite honestly, most people don't read them. They don't age well. Hey, I saw this about you. It's just an awkward kind of floating out comment there. I like just connecting with people, but the biggest reason I like connecting with them is because then they can go to your profile, see who you are. You've got passive selling from your site. And then second to that, you can then use other LinkedIn touch points later if they accept. You can use voice messages. You can use personalized GIFs. You can use ways to connect with them and engage with them like a human, but that doesn't work unless they connect. So they need to connect first for other steps to happen better.
Got you. Okay. So we're at a little bit of a slight disagreement there. I like it just a little bit later. I like to first, make a LinkedIn touch point where like, follow, share, or comment on some of their content. And that way, they see my name in their notifications, right? So it's building that brand awareness or brand recognition of self. And then, in a few days after I've done 2 or 3 more touch points, then I would send the connection request. But then the next question is do you do it with or without a note?
I do it without. That's my theory is that. But then again, my LinkedIn profile is built up. My page has who I am. In that case, it takes time to go through and try and make a personalized note for everyone. I don't know. David, do you read every note that someone sends you when they're connecting with you?
So I tend to not use the note either, personally, because it tends to come across as more of the bot-driven connection request. But so I tend not to either. Usually, if I'm sending a connection request, it's somebody that I've talked to or interacted with in some capacity, right? Via an email, phone, voicemail, etc.
And I'm sure you guys can also dig more into that. I think you talked with Evan about these things before. I'll let you share that, but that's probably going to be goldmine of resources too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about video and GIF use. I want to talk about this too, because most of selling is going to happen via camera, via Zoom, via meetings, via online. It's not going back. Am I right, David? Do you see us going back to horse and buggies or any other type of technology?
No, carrier pigeons, they're extinct. So no, nothing else. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the now.
That VHS I sent you didn't get much traction. I'm going to be honest when I first reached out to you. But with that said, you need to be able to do a quick, concise video pitch. So when you're looking to hire SDRs, coming back to where are we at with SDRs, look at someone who can communicate clearly. They can use GIFs. They can use LinkedIn voicemails and messages. They can use media and omni-channel outreach because that's part of the process now. Here's the biggest tip they need to learn: to be clear, to be passionate, to be concise. If you're doing a video, it's a trailer to the movie. You're not selling anything on a pitch video. Have you ever gotten one of those? David, let me rephrase this. If I sent you a 5-minute pitch video, how much of that are you going to watch?
If it's personalized from you, I'm
no,
gonna
from
watch
anybody. You've got random SDR hits you with a pitch video and it's 17 minutes. How much of that are you watching?
I may not click it at all because I don't want to commit to the obligation of 17 minutes.
All right, 5 minutes. How much of that are you watching?
If I do click it, probably up to 60 seconds.
So that is all your prospects. So when you have someone who communicates you with a pitch via video, you need the trailer to the movie. A little bit of sizzle, not a lot of steak. You just need to be relevant, be interested, be engaging, pique their interest. And so if someone can give you a pitch video as they're reaching out to your team that says, hey, I've learned this about your team, we might be a fit because of X, or if you have an SDR, even practice that with your team. If they can give you something, this is not, pause here, this is not the elevator pitch. Scrap that, that's not what this is. This is the movie trailer. This gets you going to see the next Avengers movie. This gets you going to see whatever your next, big popcorn thriller is. I'm interested. I don't know more, but I'd like to know more.
Right. That's awesome. Because prospecting isn't selling and selling isn't marketing, and the three are definitely different. So from a video prospecting perspective, I believe you're spot on. We actually do have an interesting question from the community. One question is, do personalized images, GIFs, and/or personalized videos work?
100%. They do. Yeah. They stand out. One of my favorite touch points, here we go. I'll go a little off script here, is fancy whiteboard.
We have a script? What?
Hey, I didn't know, but no, it's a great question, Inder, because here's what I would tell you. I love dropping this later in a sequence because here's the great thing about a GIF. You can be a little goofy, you can be a little personal. They put a face to the conversation, but GIFs are also passive because what do you talk about with that 17-minute video, David? What did you not want to do?
But I didn't want to hit play.
You know, I hit play, right? But what's a GIF do?
It auto plays most of the time.
A GIF autoplays. So if you can communicate a handful of word messages via a GIF, give them a wave, give them some personalization, be yourself, 5-10 seconds on a loop, that's going to pop up on the feed passively. You get where I'm going with this, David?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got something to add as well in terms of, addressing the personalized videos in a different use case. So as of recently, we've actually started to work to increase meeting attendance, right? Appointment set attendance by sending a personalized video, the day before the scheduled event, right? Doing a little personalization, a little research on LinkedIn, and having a good time with it. And so it's actually increased. We're still getting in gathering all the data, but we have seen a lift in attendance rate for booked meetings from those personalized videos.
I believe it. So again, when you're looking for an SDR, tying it back to the topic at hand, is look for someone who's maybe not perfect at video, but somebody that's willing to try, like cold calling, put themselves out there, be able to communicate concisely, clearly, and be relevant via a video. But again, they're looking to just generate some buzz, generate some interest.
So we got another question from the audience. Does experience really matter when hiring an SDR?
No, I think there's a balance to that, but you're looking for an entry-level role typically for SDRs. If you hire somebody who's got a year or two of SDR experience, they can be great. That's not necessarily a disqualifier, but often most SDRs who are doing well are looking at being promoted within 6 to 9 to 12 months. By no later than 15 months, they're looking at AE roles, they're looking at other positions. I can tell you this, talking to sales leaders who've had a profile of demanding experience for the roles has led them to have a talent pool that is so small. So I guess the question is, do you want a year of experience or do you want a pool of candidates? That would be my take on that. And so
fair response.
Not to bang my drum a little bit too much, but pre-hire does give you some sweet spot in that we train people without experience to bridge into that. So if you're looking for people with training, with core fundamentals, without necessarily that role and that experience, that also can be a place we fit in. So David, what's your thoughts? I don't want to answer for everybody. I don't want to speak for you, man. What's your take?
No, you're good, man. No, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I don't have a whole lot to add. Plus, I started thinking about the next answer to the next question, so I got ahead of myself. But you're asking another great question, which is how many personalized videos can you reasonably expect an SDR to make in a day? And so that one kind of hit home with me because for me, time is precious, right? And then it's how do you prioritize the time and make the time to do this? And so I actually don't have a prescriptive answer for that question. In terms of how many personalized videos you can expect an SDR to make in a day, I would assume 5 to 10, just kind of depending. But curious, Josh, what do you feel is realistic, knowing that it takes about 1 to 2 minutes to make a video?
Well, when you say 1 to 2 minutes to make a video, you have to consider outtakes, fumbling over yourself, and trying again to get it right. Even though it's a minute, it takes me more than a couple of minutes, and I have a lot of practice to do that. I mean, you're going to use a lot of the same messaging, but it is going to be something that needs to be fairly relevant and personalized and not carbon copied in that case. So I think if you're looking at 10 to 15, maybe 20, depends on your vertical, but even if you're doing 5 or 10 a day, you're going to see your conversion rates go up. I think my friend Morgan posted out, just do 5 videos a week and you're going to see a bump in your activity. But that kind of floats into the next question, which is workflow management. Actually, I don't want to miss the last point to look for of our 5.
No, you're good.
Looking for SDRs, you want to look at them and how they can block their time, understand their KPIs and sales funnels. So if you're talking to them saying, hey, how many videos can get done in a day? That's the kind of question we want future SDRs to think of. What does my day look like? How do I block my time? What's attainable? And really to understand those questions. And a great SDR is going to say, what is my funnel look like? What activity? How many videos do I got to make to get enough, contacts, to get enough meetings booked? They're already going to have to be thinking down that path somewhat. So if you've got an SDR that is capable of at least at a high level understanding how activities and their efforts and the no's they hit and the walls they run into, the cold calls they make, the emails they send, the videos they create, translate to meetings and revenue. If they're already thinking that way and that mindset, that puts them ahead of most great SDRs out there.
So on time blocking, I'm curious, what is an example time blocked calendar look like as a template that an SDR should or could follow?
A time block looks like, how many calls do you need to make? How long does each dial take to make? How long do you need to block for research? How long do you have blocked for the emails? You're going to go forward with all these tools. You're going to take each day and make sure some time is capped of each day on your calendar so you can't be scheduled. You're going to put all of that info in there. You're going to have your week all laid out ahead of you. And then you're going to, the most important part is not blocking the time. It's sitting your butt down and doing it. Making sure that you're actually going through and on schedule during those times, making those dials, doing the prospecting and doing the outreach. Correct me on that if you would, but what's your blocking look like?
Yeah, I mean, tried and true from my experience in the world of sales and business development, generally speaking, your golden hours tend to follow Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt on this topic, but protecting the platinum hours versus the golden hours, using morning time as research, and not to miss or skip that first call block starting at 9 local, right? Depending on where you're calling and what industries you're calling in. So as you mentioned to begin with, there's a lot of great resources and certainly several schools of thought on how to best time block your day as a prospector. But what I found in my experience leads up to summary of cold calling skill, which is willingness to do the work. It's the number one secret is doing it. The second secret is how to do it more efficiently, right? Or effectively. And then after that, it's kind of all fuzzy magic, in my opinion.
I would also add real quick for you here is that you've got reports that you can look at in Outplay, and there's things that will tell you heat maps of times to call as well. Correct, David, that you can kind of build out your schedule?
Absolutely. So, with Outplay and tools like it, there are certainly the abilities to, kind of look at heat mapping, seeing what your most responsive time of day is for, email or phone call answer rate. I mean, you could slice and dice the data a lot of different ways. But though that's available, right, and or is always an improvement to be refined and improve from where it's at today. It's doing the work is the ultimate secret. So just picking up the phone, making the next call, one more call, Jeb Blunt says. So
I can't add to that one. It is do the work. So I think that's still the best answer at the end of the day is have the blocks, but then live by the blocks and make sure you actually do that and hold yourself accountable to that work. So
yeah, we did get another question, by the way, Josh. So Ender shared once more. could you throw or shed some light on how to ramp up a young SDR, right? First time SDR onto your product or market. So I guess the question is posed from, leadership. How can I bring in a new resource quickly on product market fit? So what are your thoughts? Because I have some on this as well.
Yeah, I'll tackle it first. My thoughts would be you want to have them, first understand your ICP. You've got to walk through who are you reaching, who are you solving. In other words, if they can block out your ideal customer profile, who do you help? What's the vertical? What's the size of companies that you help? You want to make sure that your SDR understands that at a high level. In other words, who is our best customer and who is like our best customer? And then at that company, specifically, who do we help? It's kind of cliche to say what keeps them up at night, but they need to be able to walk through what are some of the pains for each of those roles. In other words, David, when your job, what are the things that are going to hurt you? What's going to keep you from the obstacles? What are you trying to accomplish? And then how does our product solve that? If your SDR can understand that chain of events, they can then start talking intelligently about what are the questions that are going to unlock that pain. Hey, do you see this problem? Hey, we hear this from other companies that we work with that they've saved time doing this. Is that something that you struggle with? So if they can walk through who the right people are, what their pain is, then they can understand the value of your product and they can speak more intelligently to it. So I think it starts with that ideal customer profile, mapping that out and making sure that they've got that nailed down, because then your product will slot in naturally. What are your thoughts, David? I'm curious where you go with that.
Yep. So definitely from my experience, you're correct in terms of having the resource be able to internalize, convey, and communicate, product market fit, the value proposition and the pains that you're solving and the people that you're going after. But I could take it a step behind that. And when you're talking about ramping up, usually right after the hiring process, right, or during, tools and platforms like Outplay, right, are going to be able to expedite that time to value for the resource, because they don't have to know your value prop. They don't have to know or understand, who the target roles and responsibility owners are, because in general, you're feeding them that data, through the integration from your CRM into the platform and automating lead assignment, right, within a tool like Outplay. And then the resource just has to get in and do the work and do on-the-job training with practicing on objection handling in a phone script or rebuttals in an email response, right? But by and large, they're going to be equipped with the what to say, how to say it, and how often to follow up part of the equations already. So my 2 cents on an approach there.
I just want to echo that to everyone who's listening. A tool will make all the difference. It's the framework that's going to make that run for a new rep. It's going to give them structure. Again, going back to the workflow, having something like that in place will fit hand in glove with having yourself tasks and things done that you can jump in and out efficiently and do that. And as you're trying to ramp, having the framework, having the value prop, having the templates in place will make an SDR's life 100, maybe 1,000 times easier when they're ramping. So that can't agree more.
Awesome. The great minds think alike, right? So on the topic of thinking and great minds, if anyone out there listening today would like to follow up with Josh and pick his brain as a great mind, Josh, curious, what are some of the best ways for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you click ahead here, there's a link to it. I'm also going to drop our link.
Actually, yeah. So can share this as a follow-up for everybody listening. So if you request a presentation, you'll have it, and these will be the bulletized list of the items that we covered in conversation. And then right here, actually, QR code available. So if you'd like to scan this, that'll take you to Josh's profile on LinkedIn. You can scan mine to get my contact details as well. But what does an engagement or first step look like, for someone to have a conversation with you and your team there at Prehired?
Yeah, if you're looking to contact us, you can go to our site, which I'll drop here in the comments in a second, which is at prehired.io/hire. That gives a lot more background on Prehired. So if you still aren't sure about me and you'd like to know more, how does Prehired help? Who do we help? How do we help you scaling teams grow? You can go to that website and get a lot more information. I'll drop a direct link in here from the chat here in a second on that. But really, the step is first to really learn your team. As I said, regardless, we may or may not be a fit. I'd like to learn more about where you're at. I'm constantly curious. This is not a high pressure sales process. It really is a matter of building clarity, understanding where you're at. So reach out to me. I'd be more than glad to walk through your team, what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. and then see how pre-hired might be able to plug in talent that understands those 5 core keys that we just covered. We train all of those things. And then, of course, David is able to arm you with the talent, with the tools to take it to the next level as well. So that's the best way to get started.
Awesome. Yeah, and as Josh mentioned, you're welcome to contact me or join us at outplayhq.com to find out more about, you know, tools and tech, what sales engagement looks like, and what you could accomplish with Outplay. So thank you all so much for attending, carving out some time for us on this fine Tuesday. And any questions, feel free to follow up either here in LinkedIn or via the other channels mentioned. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, we have more comments and questions.
Yeah, we'll hang out for a minute and answer any of the questions, but you are relieved to go find the pizza we talked about a little bit ago.
Good luck there.
Oh yeah, share your link, Josh, in chat, please.
Yep. I'm gonna put that in the chat here right now. Perfect. There's our site info. Couldn't find my quick link. We're working live, so we're gonna just have that in there. Go to the site, and that'll find us.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments or begrudgment of no pizza?
Other David, not David, but other David. So in the comments, thank you.
Oh, David from comments, not David Youngblood. Got it. Yeah, thanks, David. JK. Thanks, Chelsea. All right. So we got another question. Do pre-hire collaborate with companies in the UK? Yeah.
Excellent question. The answer is not yet. We do have Canada and the UK on the roadmap for next year. We'd love to be able to support the EMEA markets. At the present, we are US based. Great question. Not yet, but we'd love to.
Awesome. Thanks for the question. Anybody else with questions? And now the real question is how many people just left it running and like left the computer to go get pizza or a cup of coffee?
Yeah, you made me hungry. I think pizza sounds really good right about now. Yeah. So I'm off to go get that. And,
yeah, maybe I'm hungry too. Maybe that's what I've been talking about it the whole time.
Well, your voice held up, so that's the important thing. So I'm not sure who's left and recording it, but I'm sure we'll hopefully clip some of this banter at the end, unless we get great questions, and then we're stuck with this content forever. So.
Oh, it's on the internet. It's already forever. It'll just go to our bloopers reel.
Should have gone with the hat, then we would have matched. That would have helped. So anyway.
Yeah, I'll send you one as a follow-up to this meeting today. I'll personalize it.
Exactly. All right.
So, all right. With that, I think.
Well, I guess answered all the questions in the content. Hopefully that's what we'll take from this. So.
Yep. Several answered questions. Some fun participation in chat, and everyone's back to their exciting Tuesday.
Good luck, everyone. So, hang out there, have fun, go get it.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks all. Have a good one.